Good morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies collectively for this week. Just see if I can, no, turn the light off maybe, no, okay, yeah, so there's not really much I can do about the light, I'm afraid. Yes, here to look at the energies collectively this week, and yeah, there's an awful lot of light coming in, which we know anyway, because we have the 22 portal tomorrow. Gosh, what a week. I don't know about anyone else, but this whole week seems to be very much about completion, deep levels of completion. My end, not just physical work, but emotional work, spiritual work that has been ongoing for some time. Real, monumental, full circle aspects. And this morning, without being the bearer of news, I personally felt like it wasn't quite done yet. And I started to think about the date today and it being the 21st. And I thought, well, it's not the 22nd, so, you know, but actually when you add up all the numbers, so the 21 and the second month and the 6th year, we come to number 11, which is a master number in itself. So there's a lot of preparation there in regards to duality, in regards to justice in the tarot, which used to be the strength card position. But also if we decide to add up any master numbers, which we don't normally, but if we did, yeah, we've got that number too. And all I keep hearing is that number two, you know, I need to have a number two. And I don't know about anyone else, but I'm just going to say it has been pretty shit off and on the last week or so with the things that have been clearing, emptying, but necessary to get rid of what no longer serves us. And this morning, again, couldn't do anything with the odd hair, so decided to tie it back, but realised this side, yeah, it's all just puffed out. And I'm looking in the mirror, which is a random thing for me nowadays, trying to style my hair, and I just heard, you need to get a grip. And it wasn't just aimed at my hair. Yes, I do need some grips in my hair, but it wasn't just aimed at my hair. It was very much, you need to get a grip this week. And I think that can really happen when there's been a lot of shifts. It can, yeah, help us realise where the ground hasn't been that stable, which can have a knock-on effect on what are we going to hold on to now. You know, we're in the middle of the third storm in 5 days, and that's no coincidence, is it? Yeah, the weather is really trying to clear and shift things. And I was looking out in my garden today, all the fences have come down. I used to have a butterfly ornament hanging from the tree. And this tree and I have been on quite a journey. A lot of it came down when I was doing a journey to the Dark Goddess. And then when that was removed, the old rot was removed. I then went through the process of losing my mother as well. So me and this tree have had a real connection in regards to messages and wisdom shared. And today the butterfly that was hanging in the tree is on the ground now. And butterflies are normally very symbolic of change, aren't they? And yeah, it was on the ground now. The change had been done. It was right in front of me now. And that really feels quite very, very poignant this week, to stop, to pause, to take a breath, to get a grip, and to prepare for storms like we would, to, you know, hold on or hold down the things that we wish to keep this week in particular. I don't know about anyone else, but it has felt quite exhausting. Almost like a pinnacle breakthrough, breakdown moment. Like how much more? How much more, you know? And any moment of transition normally takes a point where we say, I can't do this anymore. I actually had a moment like that this morning, and it's very important to go into that, to acknowledge what it is we're saying we're done with, you know, without the judgment. So a lot of times we can think, oh, come on. I know personally I was raised by a very strong woman. Up you get, keep going. And it can take a great deal of strength to say, I can't do this anymore. And that's okay. That's okay, because when we acknowledge that truth within us, not only are we saying we need help, but we're also saying, I'm not prepared to do that anymore. You know, and that can be very valuable on our path in order to avoid bypassing things that no longer serve us. So with that in mind, I'm going to have a quick. I hear, don't make the tea quick. Take time this week to really reflect on what has occurred and what it is we are holding on to in this storm, and whether or not makes me feel quite emotional, whether or not it wants to be held on to anymore. You know, we can want certain things in life and it doesn't always pan out that way, or we've done what we need to do on that journey with a certain situation, person, scenario, whatever, and it can really be the most freeing thing for all energies involved to let go, to allow that new to come in now. It really does feel like that in the last few weeks of February into March, to really look at what we're willing to take forward now. Monumental shifts, monumental changes, and yeah, anything else on that? So I did actually use some sprays today by Amanda Ellis, and I'll put a link in the comments, and they were the Higher Heart and the Ultra Major sprays. That energy really trying to come in now, that higher vision for yourself and the situation that you're involved in. Often when we hold on to things, it is from an ego perspective. We wanted X, Y, and Z to work. We wanted it to be this way. We wanted it to be that way. There's always a bigger vision than ours. Okay, so I think pause, take stock this week, really get a grip on who we are, really get a grip. So I'm reading this book at the moment. I've just come to a chapter of self-care, and we all know how important self-care is, but what I hear is, do we? As most of us are supporting others, or, you know, we're trying to initiate change or whatever. I'm getting the analogy of a midwife that's completely run down, trying to support others to deliver what they're trying to achieve. And, you know, self-care is so important, not just for ourselves, but for the whole, to really ensure that we are in a place where we can hold space. We need to get a grip. We need to get a grip. We need to really look at where we are at and really solidify what is needed now for us to help others. Anything else? I mean, I'm seeing lots of analogies about making sure that your cup is full and before you give to others, but alternatively you can just show people where the tap is. So this week it feels very much like recognizing our limitations, so we can give someone from our metaphorical cup, and we can top up that cup, and we can always have enough to give to others, or we can redirect them to the actual metaphorical tap. It is far better to connect someone to their own hope, thank you, and faith than to feed from yours, because yours will not be what they need. They need their own faith, their own hope, their own empowerment now. And this is going to really come up this week in particular, because in order for all these cycles within cycles to close, to have completion, we all need to discover our own medicine. We all need to discover our own lessons. And that can be very difficult for people that try to hold space for others, because obviously we don't want to see others struggle. We don't want to see people with no hope or in the darkness or whatever. But actually that's part of their process. That's part of their own completion, and that's part of their own hope and faith. What's important is we stand back and find our own, so that we can hold that energy for others to do the same, not to do it for them. And we know this anyway, deep down inside, everybody knows this. For those that don't, or for those that have forgotten, myself included this week, you're going to feel it. Yeah, you're going to feel it. And it is a real reminder to look at where you're at and to get a grip, to really get a grip this week in particular. Okay. So I plan to talk about the energies of the 22 portal. And what I'm hearing is the portal's underway. The portal's already, you know, all of this week in particular is all to do with that anyway. The whole year is to do with that. You know, it's focusing on energy outside of us. The 22 portal is X, Y, and Z, and it's a potential energy, it's a potential doorway, which we will not be able to get the most of or walk through or acknowledge unless we recognize where we are. So for me, this week in particular, the 22 portal is very much saying, look at where you are as a doorway for change, as a potential of energy. So the cards that I'm going to use, I'm very undecided actually. I'm going to put them to one side at the moment. Yeah, we've got 10 of Wands at the bottom of those packs. So the first ones I'm going to use are these ones actually. I think they're the Mythical Tarot. I want to put that on my lap. That's very interesting. I wanted to put the cloth on my lap like when you go to a restaurant just before you're about to eat or be served. That's what I hear. Prepare to be served. Served what? Goodness me. Okay, well, we've got the 10 of Wands at the bottom of the other pack, and I want to show you this card. This is from the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. And often we look at the 10 of Wands as overwhelm or stress or whatever, but what this card is really showing is an opportunity to ignite, to really clear through all of our energy centers now, to really clear through the old patterns, all this feeling of it being too much, to actually get a grip and allow this transformation to happen. Okay. So the Mythical Tarot, the energies this week. I'm very drawn to look at a selenite crystal that I have here, and it's like a horn, if you will, like a unicorn horn. But I'm very drawn to the shape of the spiral, the going up, the coming down, the going up, the coming down, and it very much feels like that this week. Up, down, up, down, up, down, and a need to navigate the subconscious oceans. Yes, okay. Now I'm seeing the instrument that they use to read maps, to find what instrument you are going to use to read your own direction this week. Now being given the analogy of Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay. Monday, Tuesday, yeah, I'm not surprised. Wednesday, oh lordy. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Overall, I want to pick 2. Gosh. So with the Mythical with the Mythical Tarot, we have one major arcana, which is the Tower card, and it is on the 22 portal. What I received yesterday was it's coming on a Tuesday, a choose day, a day to choose. Okay, on the Tuesday and on the 22 portal, and I'm not surprised to see the Tower here. A real opportunity to choose what it is we are actually going to take forward now. What are we actually going to build on? So overall, the energies of this week are the Knight of Swords and the Seven of Swords. And I just want to show you the Seven of Swords here. I was going to say I just want you to show me the Seven of Swords, and that very much feels like a little bit of an insight into the overall theme this week, wanting other people to give us the answers, wanting other sources to give us the answers, the cards, our guides, our friends, our family. And actually that's not empowering. Okay, so we can use the tarot as guidance of the energies this week. What we choose to do with it is up to us. Okay, so anything that we look outside of ourselves this week as our own source of hope or moving forward, yeah, we might very well have reflected back things that we don't particularly want to see. You know, the fact that we may not trust ourselves to come up with our own answers. And when we do that, we empower others to have control over our life. And that's where the sneakiness of the Seven of Swords can come from. So you can see there that there is a doorway. There is a portal this week, the whole of this week. And I would say leading up until, definitely the new moon in March, there is a big portal here, a big chance to move away from the illusion of the moon and to really step into that. But what's guiding us? In this card in particular, it's the shadow that is seen. You can't, there we are. And I think I feel when we really look at that, when we really look at it being the shadow that is guiding us this week, the vision becomes clearer, just like that card did. And then we have the Knight of Swords. So this is the only Knight of Swords card that I've ever seen. It's not going to show it. But there are actually two characters. Two characters riding forward. And what I received this week was very much about taking aspects of the past, but realizing what we've learned from that and knowing what to hold on to and what to actually let go of now. What have we learned from the past? All those times of endurance, all those times when we haven't known the answers and we've had to find them ourselves and really dig deep and find our own hope. Take that forward. What have we actually learned? You know, you can look back over situations and think, right, I really struggled with finances, but I managed to do X, Y, and Z. And then you can come back to that happening again. It's not about learning finances. It's about remembering that you managed to do X, Y, and Z and take that forward. The inner strength that we get from the endurances this week. So on the Monday, we have the Knight of Cups. And again, looking at what we are taking forward emotionally. Are we taking forward the lessons? Are we taking forward the hope, the connection to source? You know, in that cup, in the Ace of Cups. It's going back to that analogy again. Feeding someone from our own cup or showing them where the tap is. Helping someone connect to their own source now, ourselves included, really taking that time and letting that guide us forward into Tuesday. That Tower moment. Now I like this card because actually it's Poseidon. So you have the Pisces, you have the Neptune, that kind of feel there. But you really can't see these cards. There we are. Thank you. So just by saying I can't see something, it became clearer. And it's very important to acknowledge when we are stuck, when we don't know the answers, because then I know it's uncomfortable to go there, but then in that uncertainty, alternatives will start to come through. I watched a film the other day, Marry Me, it was called. And in it, he said something along the lines of, only by sitting in the question will the answer come. And it was Owen Wilson, I think, that said it. And it was just really, really powerful. Only by sitting in the uncomfortableness, without that knee-jerk trying to find the answer, will the answer actually come, in particular on the Tuesday. So another reason I like this card is it's surrounded by water. The other tarot cards for the Tower don't depict water as being the change, but in this card, most definitely, it is the emotions that will shift things on Tuesday. And I'm actually seeing St. Michael's Mount as well as the Tower. So this being quite a monumental shift along the major ley lines of the earth. So again, for all those down in Cornwall, stay safe, particularly with the storm. And just knowing that this is altering the very ground that we're about to walk on, which is the Tower anyway, but it's from our emotions. So on the Wednesday, we have the Knight of Pentacles. And I want to put the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups together, the Wednesday and the Thursday together as energies, because in order for us to stay grounded and to move or know where we're going to move forward to, that cup that once was in the Knight of Cups hands has to become more physical. Eight of Cups here. We have to decide what it is we are willing to emotionally move on from now in order to get the grounding that we need, in order to no longer be all about our emotions, but our physical needs also. What emotions are we now leaving behind? It's necessary in order to be grounded by the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if we can do that on the Friday, we have the Ace of Wands. We have something new coming in here. It reminds me very much of the Emperor in this deck in particular. Okay, I want to see. Come on. So, okay, for the beginning of the week, acknowledging that we can't see something is very empowering because it helps us to see. But by the end of the week, declaring that we want clarity may not always work. Okay, so we can know that we can't see something. We can know that we can be confused and uncertain. And in that energy, we initiate the answers coming. But if we demand that the answers come, if we demand that we need to know what is going to happen now from the universe, on the Friday, yeah, that's not the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is very much the beginning energy. The Ace of Wands is being very much open to receive whatever guidance needs to come through. And you can just about see that he actually has there we are, the world in his hands. So it is only when we recognize that it's a collective collaboration on the Friday, that it isn't just about what we want, but what is good for the world, our environment, you know, including our mind, body and soul, not just our ego or shadow, that the inspiration starts to come. And then on the Saturday, we have the Knight of Wands. But on the Saturday and the Friday, you may find a to and fro, a demand of wanting to know what's going to happen. And that can actually make the picture less clear. Camera is literally, there we are. A demanding what's going to happen, and that can make the picture less clear. Okay, but it's all part of the process, because again, the Knight of Wands is very early stages with the Wands card. Overall on the Sunday, it's the King of Swords, so it does feel like a very emotional, physical, spiritual, mental journey this week. Very much early stages of it, and trying to make it further along than it is. But knowing that we just need to have patience, we just need to balance what is occurring. There's still a lot of completion this week. There's still a lot of the old and the new, and holding space for both of that this week in particular. Okay, and that's where the Ten of Wands from the other deck can come through. It feeling like it's a little bit too much, but what's actually happening is a clearing of all energies within us, an activation. That's what I hear, an activation. And even though the 22 portal, obviously with the number 2, seems very feminine, what have we got? 22, so that's 4, 6, yeah, it's 10. It adds up to 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune and also the Magician. It has a very masculine energy to it as well, which is the feminine, isn't it? She is both. At the end of the day, she's not just feminine, she's masculine and feminine. So let's talk about the storms. I heard from, I think it was a video of Amanda Ellis the other day, the names of the storms. I'm not going to get into too much with that because it's been covered, and I totally recommend you check out her page. But Eunice, I didn't know, meant good outcome or something like that. For me personally, Storm Franklin, my beautiful sister, is expecting a baby in March. Long awaited new beginning, long awaited new beginning, you know, decade awaited new beginning, and their surname is Franklin. Now when her son is born, he will be called Adam, the first man, apparently, according to the Bible. We always used to joke about in our family that my mother was called Eve, and obviously she passed last year. The old matriarchy, the old maternal feminine in my family dynamic passed last year. But we are about to embark on the birth of Adam, the masculine, the new masculine. And that feels very poignant this week with the 2-2 portal. You know, my sister isn't due till March, but with the 22 portal, even though it is feminine, it feels very much about birthing the new masculine within us. not from our shadow, looking at our actions and ensuring they're not from our shadows. There's an awful lot of masculine energy this week. So with that in mind, it makes me actually feel quite nauseous. It makes me feel as if that is the up and down of the collective oceans of our emotions, the masculine, and to really look at the impact that old actions, old thoughts, old beliefs, old patterns are actually having on being able to move forward. For our masculine to get a grip, which is very harsh, but yes. So we have 1, 2, 3 sword cards, and they are the 7 of Swords, Knight of Swords, and King of Swords. And very much it feels, unless we can take that higher perspective now and work together within ourselves, with our masculine and our feminine, with our past and our present, with the lessons we have discovered and our ability to move forward. Unless we can do that, endurance for endurance sake is going to take hold, and that is very much from the ego and from the shadow. So unless we can acknowledge, actually, I need to take stock, I need to get grip, I need to strengthen my own reserves, I need to help somebody get to their own answers rather than give them to them, because that's from the ego and the shadow, we will have 3 of Swords, which can be heartbreak. It can be separation, but more importantly, it's separating from the sacred heart, which is the masculine, which is the Christ consciousness. If not us, then the people we are trying to help, or the collective, really separating from that energy that is available leading up to Easter. So then we have 1, 2, 2 cup cards. So we do have balance with the emotions, and that comes from the Knight of Cups and the 8 of Cups. Knowing what to take forward, knowing what to leave behind. Okay? So really balancing where we're at, and we can only do that by going there. We can only do that by really sitting in what may be uncomfortable this week emotionally, in order to know where we are, what we need, what no longer serves us, and what we are collectively taking forward. We then have 1 Pentacle card. We do have the 1 Pentacle card, and it's the Knight of Pentacles. Really connecting back to the earth from a childlike innocence, from a younger energy now. Finding that magic around us. That's how we get hope. We have it reflected back to us, but we must seek it out. We must take the time to seek that out, to find the good. So card, show me the good. All it's going to do is reflect back the light. So yeah. Okay, so all I'm seeing when I show this card is the helmet that the individual is wearing, the bees in the background, and the pentacle and the growth in his hand from crops and the horses. If you're struggling to find the good this week, if you're struggling to connect physically to the hope, put a barrier on these thoughts. Yeah, really protect yourself from any thoughts that are coming in that take you away from that energy, whether that's media, whether that's your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own patterns. Look at the growth that is in your hands. Look at what has actually occurred. Be strong, steadfast, and balanced in all of your elements, like the horse would be. And then we have 2 wand cards, the Ace of Wands and the Knight of Wands. And again, there is that balance there available with our spiritual self, with our ambition, our drive, and the way to move forward. But it is about balancing out, declaring when you need it, and being open to receive it. Thank you. Finally, thank you. Okay, so even though it's an Ace of Wands, this character in particular is very regal. Yeah, so he has done the journey. He is sovereign. He is a sovereign being. We have the Aries cloak there. So from now until the Aries new moon, he is a sovereign being. But he recognises that what he needs to receive comes from the earth. What he's here to do, his inspirations, his ambitions, his drive, come from his environment, from his earth, from his place here, taking time to really take stock of that this week. What are we holding down because we want to keep in this storm? And what are we willing to let go of? So is there anything else? I'm just being drawn to the Tower card. Don't forget that this is all part of change, and it's a monumental change. It is involving the earth as well, along the ley lines, particularly from St. Michael's Mount, which is the heart chakra. There are a lot of characters at play at the moment, a lot of people, a lot of opinions, a lot of emotions. Pause and recognize what are yours, what healing is yours to be shifted, and what is others. Help them by all means by directing them where they need to go, by listening, by allowing them to pause and recognize what is theirs. Show them where the tap is, don't give them from your cup. And when I talk about the tap, I mean obviously their eternal source of hope and faith. We do actually have underneath the 9 of Cups. So we do actually have that union of the masculine and the feminine. And oh, okay, you want me to show it a bit? Okay. And then the 2 of Cups underneath. The 9 of Cups, being guided by the feminine energy here, by the feminine archetype. She has that cup. She's saying she is the cup for you all to connect to, for us all to connect to, and then feed each other from there. But really connecting to that higher archetype of the feminine this week in particular, to balance our masculine and our feminine, to reunite our actions and our intuition. Okay, so let's do that. Let's connect to the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. By connecting to the feminine, we are asking, what is needed of us this week? Rather than the other way round, what is needed of us from the earth this week, from the feminine, from this portal? How can we best be the portal for the divine feminine to be born? Or to birth the masculine. Beautiful. Okay, so we have the Queen of Earth. Gorgeous, gorgeous card. See with her eyes, the Queen of Pentacles. See with the Earth's eyes. Create with the Earth's eyes. Love with the Earth's eyes. And then we have, you couldn't make it up, the 8 of Earth. Really, really connecting, really, really grounding to the work that you are doing, becoming part of it, embodying it now. Just beautiful. We do have the dragons there. I do feel dragon energy coming in. And we also have the bull, the Aries here as well. So from now until that new moon, really connecting to the earth, really recognizing that we create for her, not for our own ego, not for our own shadow. And it may not be what we would have hoped. It may not be what we would like. We may be holding space for a lot of dreams and ideals to be completed now in what they were, but holding space for that. Okay, so this is going to be the last one. There's 2 actually. The Counselor, holding space, yes? Holding space with empathy for what is going on. Truly, truly listening. There's a very fine line with counselling, to listen empathically and help people find their own answers, or to give them the answers you think that they need. And again, it is to ask ourselves why we are sharing, what we are sharing, and from where. Are we doing it from our own gains here? And perception. Very much like the King of Swords, very much like Justice, very much with a death type energy. Very much out of focus. Thank you. Well, I love how the sword has gone with the circle there. Let's align that. That feels quite relevant actually to align the circle and the sword symbolically. Ah, yes, of course, the chalice and the sword. Okay, so there's something there very much about uniting the masculine and the feminine in all that we perceive in order to hold space for the changes that are occurring. Thank you. Right, what I want to do is something I don't normally do, but I want to, because this deck is completely different, by Raven Felon. I think that's how you say her name. Apologies if it isn't. Very, very different. So they don't follow the normal tarot pattern. So I want to see what she says about these cards. So we want the counselor. As I say, they're not in order. So it is really finding, which I can't seem to do, where she has put them. Okay, so we're going to go for perception first, apparently, because we've just landed straight on that card. Okay, perception, understanding, worldview, opinion of self, clarity and objectivity. And it's really important, isn't it, if we're asking for clarity, that we actually see who we are first. Because everything that we perceive will come from that level of perception. So how do you see yourself this week? Do you see yourself as unable to carry on? How do you feel about that? What judgments are there? You know, really taking a good long hard look at ourselves this week. So perception shapes your worldview. Understand what your senses tell you. Knowledge and understanding are limited. Changed perception cannot be unchanged. Is your perception clouded? Take the high ground. Seek a new perspective. Challenge your perception. This week in particular with the shadow. You know, is this true? Or is it my shadow, my ego, not wanting to let go of that? Do I need clarity, or do I actually know the answers and I perhaps don't want to face them for whatever reason? And there's no judgment there. Do you have all the facts? Represent yourself honestly and watch for false perception. So, okay. Perception, the fifth of the influence cards, pertains to the organisation, identification and interpretation of sensory information in order to understand what we sense and experience. When the perception card appears in your reading, it symbolises an opportunity or need to look at how you analyse and interpret your experiences, and how your interpretation then influences your choices and ability to see and weigh options and opportunities. So I'm going to leave that there, because if we continue to see things from our old lessons, that's all we're going to see, a repetition of the old lessons, and it's going to feel as if we haven't moved forward. If we see things from the things that we have gained on our journey, we will then see whatever is occurring as an opportunity to use those skills, that medicine, to move forward. So very much all in our own perception this week, and even that analogy may not be relevant for you. So whatever is occurring this week, take a good look at it and take a good look at how you see it. Become your own counsellor this week. Really listen to what is going on for you. So are we going to be able to find the counsellor? Body, mind. We have the scribe. We have the Queen of Air. We have the King of Air. Cannot seem to find him. So, you know why? Because my perception is saying that this card is from the air, because I saw the sword. Let's go back to that sword circle analogy. The counsellor is actually water. It's our emotions. Really looking at our thoughts this morning, maybe. Our thoughts and how they navigate our emotions. Definitely this morning, but I was going to say this week, but hey, if the universe wants to say this morning, then so be it. That's Earth. Oh. Right, we are now in water. Goodness. Took a while to feel into that, to recognise that it was water. The counsellor. we have him. 12 of water, empathetic, wise, objective, trustworthy, emotional understanding, clarity and sharing. So now is a time of questions and mixed emotions. Look beyond the words to the emotions. Mixed or confused emotions, listen, listen, hear. What a beautiful, beautiful analogy to take forward this week. Listen, listen, hear. Seek objective counsel. An emotionally complex situation is occurring with a lack of empathy. An opportunity is here for understanding. Be receptive, not rejecting. So it's going back to that energy from the first reading here. Not demanding the answers. Be open to them. Are feelings preventing a resolution? Are we too emotional? Are we too caught up in what we feel, to be able to make that decision? So the Councillor of Water represents one who stands high, an elder, advisor or wise man or woman whom the king or queen calls upon to discuss their feelings regarding a situation or experience of concern. She or he is someone who is trusted, caring, compassionate, who will listen attentively, only interrupting the flow to ask a question if there is need. Once a tale is told, the counsellor offers their thoughts in an objective manner. Their role is not to give instruction. Again, do not give from your own cup, but to present alternatives and insights that will help the seeker understand the thoughts and feelings that may be clouding their judgment. Help ourselves and each other to connect to our own innate, intuitive, emotional wisdom this week, because that's where the true hope, faith and answers and clarity and empowerment and everything actually is. That's when we connect to the feminine within us. An empathic person, skilled at stepping outside of themselves to look through the eyes of others. They never judge and offer only compassion and the opportunity to understand the emotions at play. Really use that with ourselves this week with whatever rises, avoiding the knee-jerk reaction to judge what we're feeling and to really observe them and hold space and witness them. By asking the right questions, they help people to come to their own conclusions about what feels right for them and how to proceed from that point. When the counsellor appears in a reading, they symbolise a need to be empathic and objective when dealing with emotionally complex situations. If you can, look beyond the words being spoken to see the emotions behind them. If you can't, the counsellor asks that you seek out the wisdom of someone who can. Now that really resonates with me in particular this week. Certain things being out of my hands. There's nothing I can actually do about certain situations for people, and that is where we acknowledge our sphere of practice. We acknowledge where we are at with no judgment, and we suggest, okay, maybe you need someone else for this. Maybe there is someone else out there that can help you hold space for you better than I can. There may also be a time approaching that will require you to keep your emotions in check, especially if they are confused. If you are feeling reactive or challenged, talking it through might help you to make sense of your feelings and provide you with answers. If you act without taking this step, your mixed or confused emotions may muddy the waters further. If in doubt, leave it out. Okay, this week in particular, if you're not sure, don't confuse the situation by acting on something without certainty. Okay, now it's so unlike me. Normally I'm very much, let the universe guide you. And this is how the universe is guiding us this week, by helping us connect to our own intuitive wisdom. So if you're not sure, for whatever reason, you're not sure, and that is the energy you will be taking forward. So waiting until you are, or finding someone that can help you figure out whether or not you are sure. And then we have the Queen of Water underneath, which again, there comes a point where we recognize the flow of answers saying the same things, and that's very much what the Queen of Water is saying, to flow and understand that it's the same messages over and over and over, and we can look at things from many different angles to try and see things in a different way, which is very empowering. But also looking at why we want to see things in a different way can be very valuable this week, because that could be where the answers actually lie. Interesting week, very interesting week, very different energies trying to come in if we allow space for it. Is there anything else? Don't forget your cup. Don't forget to drink from your own cup. And just feel when something is done, you'll feel it. Whether that's a lesson, a relationship, a situation, employment, whatever, when something is done, truly done, completed, you'll feel it. Take care, have a wonderful week, and I shall see you after this portal. Take care.